Hello everyone, today I'll be making a video of a mini cheese of how to pass the swamp. Mainly this video is for people who are on their own, and especially for a fire team who is underleveled and especially cannot pass this objective of passing through the swamp with the mechanics. The most fastest way to go through this swamp will just following the mechanics. Now if you are underleveled, and like I said, your fire team cannot pass through the swamp and you're having a hard time trying to get the 100k or just completing it for platinum or getting the ascendant shard, etc, then you can just go for the plan B method. Only have to be aware of your surroundings with the infinite screebs, raiders, and just killing limited amount of moth. This video will be for players on your own, and this is very efficient on hunters since they have the advantage of visibility. There are also alternate ways for the Warlock and Titan, but it can be a little dangerous, which I will show example footage in this video. Now first for the fire team, I do want to talk about the mechanics. There are players, veteran players, that already know how the swamp works, how the mechanics work, but I want to explain it for players who are new to the Nightfall, for players who are having trouble at the mechanics, and for players who do need a little bit more detail of how it works for this objective. When going through the swamp, there will be an increasing of the weight of darkness that will display on the left screen. So when you start getting the first weight of darkness, you can still double jump, you can still run through the swamp. Now, if you have the weight of darkness to times 2 to 9, this is when you cannot double jump on your hunter, you cannot do the bunny hop on Warlock, and you cannot do the double jump on your Titan. What you can do for the weight of darkness times 2 to 9 is you can run and jump. Now, if you are weightness darkness times 10, then this is when it's really hard to move, where your character cannot double jump and your character cannot run. This is when your character can only walk and just jump throughout this entire swamp. So when you do go through the swamp, there will be 2 of these ghostly doors which you need to go through with your fire team. Any of your fire team needs to go through the door, and it's always best to stick together. And when you are going to the Hive Lamps, the lamps will quickly reduce the stacks of the weight of darkness until you can move again. Each lamp will always seem to have surrounding of moth, which could one-shot you on a Grandmaster mode, and infinite waves of raiders and screebs. Now, if you do stay too long, the lamp will glow red, and that's when you have to move forward, because the lamp can actually kill you or highly damage you, which you don't want that to happen in this area. Let me just show you an example. You can see that if you don't go through the door, there'll be this tree figure mountain that will block the hive lamp. You must go through the door, and you can see at the door, the green ghostly door, you'll see a hive lamp, and you must go through it for your fire team. So if you don't, then you'll have the weight darkness to stack to times 10, which you don't want that to happen for your fire team. So I am throwing a nade over here just to show what it looks like if you don't go through the portal. You can see that if you go through the door, then you'll have the hive lamp to appear, and then you could just walk through here and just make your way to the next section. Now in this video, I already passed the swamp, so once you do pass the swamp, the weightness of darkness will disappear, and also for your fire team as well. And yes, there are sea creatures in the swamp, so it kind of scared me a little bit, but pretty interesting swamp to be honest. Another thing I'd like to mention about the mechanics is the screebs do sometimes have the ability to turn invisible. So there will be times where the screebs will automatically just try their best to one-shot you when they're turning invisible. So it's always best to hear your surroundings, especially when going through the swamp. Here is a method I do highly recommend. Always try your best to have 100 mobility, especially when doing this run. You can also use a different fragment where you throw smoke and then you can turn invisible and then just dodge when screebs or the raider is close to you. Then you can get your dodge back and then pop a smoke. Now here I decided to just mainly focus at the dodge with the hunter. And I am using the 6 coyote, but you don't really need the 6 coyote, by the way. You can use other exotics. For me, I was more comfortable with the 6 coyote because this was basically legend mode. And it is very, very nice for the boss fight. So I did make tiny mistakes here. I was trying to go up to the hill and then of course turn invisible, which I didn't really need to so much here, but I did. Now for the hunter, it's always best to go up the hill, but here I was just rushing a bit. You don't really have to go around so much, but I was being a bit reckless. And I was trying my best to just make my way, and of course for hunter, when you do have the power invisibility, you don't have to go and take down a raider. And you don't really have to take down a 3 moth because if they do detect you, you can just turn invisible for the hunter, by the way. Now I was just trying to go up in this ledge, but finally made it. And you just keep moving forward, and then when the raider does detect you, you can just turn invisible. And of course, make sure you take down the 3 moth, even on hunter, if you can. And I forgot to mention, also, the screebs can turn invisible, so you must be very, very careful with them. Which is why I do prefer just to move from the left side when on your own, by the way. And that's basically how you do it on the invisibility for hunter. For the hunter, let's just say you want to use a sword with invisibility. Let's just say you do want to use a hunter sword with the invisibility. So if you are using the sword, it's actually much more faster to pass the swamp. So you can turn invisible once the moth does detect you, and then you can just keep running until you hit times 10, then of course you can't run anymore. And this is when the sword does take advantage. I mean, honestly, I would love to use the lament, but can't do that because lament's bug, by the way, unless they can fix it. That would be nice. So you could take advantage of using the sword with light swings, and then you can just go on top of here, which I was just forgetting of going up there. Now at this mountain or this hill, this is probably the safest spot where screebs cannot creep up behind you. Then you can go down here, and of course there are 3 moth, which I would highly recommend to take them down when you're on top of the hill. Sometimes they do detect you, it is super RNG, I don't trust them. And there is a door there, which I could have just go through the door and then spawn the lamp, but it's a bit too far away, so I prefer just to keep moving. And there will be moth here, which I would highly recommend. You'll have to take them down because they can kill you, especially on a GM. Then you can just turn invisible for hunter and just move forward. So this is an example with hunter invisibility with sword. Probably also you don't even need invisibility so much when using the sword. So this is the legend mode Nightfall for the Titan. So this one's going to be a little tricky, and this will probably be easy on Devour Warlock, to be honest. On purpose, I did not use my super in this video, and it is optional of putting the lantern. Go through the door and then there'll be a lantern if you do want to debuff the darkness for a while. Now on purpose, like I said, I could have used my super and just moved forward, right? No, I didn't want to do it. I just want to show how it is if you don't use your super or if you don't have it. Just scenarios for a GM or a Master Nightfall, etc., etc. Now if I was On Warlock, I would use Devour right now, you know, take advantage of it, you know, shoot a melee, try my best to survive, you know, etc, etc. Pop a healing rip if I am on red health. But we are in Titan. The only ability we have is Finisher with the invisibility and rockets or any heavy that you can use to clear down the infinite waves of screebs and raiders. Now raiders are going to be your worst enemy, by the way, because they melt you pretty, I would say decent amount of damage, but if you are under leveled, then they're going to be a big headache. But if you do move up this hill and jump, by the way, at that part, because you don't want to fall down and then basically you're trapped. You go on this hill and then no screebs can get you, but raiders can shoot you from far distance. So you can see here, I'm going to take down this raider and also take down the 3 moth as well, since sometimes they can detect and try to follow you at the left side of the map. So before going down, try your best. If you want to, take down the 3 moth. If you want to, for me, I always do. I don't trust them. And make sure you look for the raider and take him down. Now I was trying to look for him because he will despawn 5 to 10 seconds, so make sure you do go down, but not in this angle. It's best to fall down at the other left platform. So you can see here I kind of messed up a little bit, so always make sure you take down all the screebs, and if there is one more on its own, then use your finisher to have the power of the invisibility for a couple seconds. So yeah, you notice raiders are gonna be a headache. You know, if I was, you know, Warlock, it'd be a little different, but just make sure and be very careful with the raiders. They're probably most annoying besides the screebs. Screebs, they can be a little headache, but it isn't really so bad to deal with them. Now I had to go up here, and this is when things can be a little complicated, where depending the raider, he can either just teleport and then just try to go in front of you and then try to one-shot you. Then you have these 3 moth, which I highly recommend to take down when you're moving forward from the left side, and screebs and raiders. Yes, he spawned again around 5 seconds. He decided to try to spam its void attack, and it can be extremely annoying. And of course there are these screebs, and just be very careful. So you can see there I immediately used my finisher, the power invisibility, and got the hell away from them. So here is just an example for legend mode for Titan, so you can survive, especially having the finisher and having the invisibility for the Titan. So now here is an example for the Warlock, and this is when I am top 3 Lightblade, and I just decided to just take advantage of the super. So yeah, this is the power of the Warlock if you don't really feel like going for Voidwalker. But I do recommend Devour, since you can heal yourself when taking down the enemy, etc, etc. So this is just an alternate subclass, by the way. But still the Void subclass will be best for the boss, to be honest, but this is just an example of how you can skip halfway in the swamp with top 3 Lightblade. Isn't this fun? Now, one thing I will say is I forgot to take down the raider. By the way. A big mistake, so definitely make sure you take down the raider, or he is going to pretty much right now follow you and shoot while you're trying to make your way to the end of the swamp. Here's just an example of why you should take down the raider. Now he is still following me, and I'm trying to escape as much as I can. You can see here I'm like, oh my god, this raider is following me. Another thing you can do for Void Devour is you could suppress with the glaive. Suppress the raider, that way when you suppress he'll be blinded and then he won't follow you, which would be good. Besides, the screebs can follow you, but it's just a alternate. So yeah, just make sure you kill the raider before going down to the water, because that was just one mistake that I should have done to make this much cleaner. That is basically it for the Warlock. Now, like I said, for Devour Warlock, basically the same thing as what I did for the Titan Sentinel, except you'll be taking advantage of the healing abilities and, of course, Devour. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!